Raw this past Monday night. Let me tell you something, man. Let me tell you something. When I got into podcasting, one of the things that, with a passion, I wanted to talk about was wrestling. When I came up with the RCWR show and all that, it was like, well, what do I want to talk about? What is it that I really have a good knack for? What hobbies do I like? And how can I really connect with a fan base? How can I really get the ball rolling on a good note? And one of the things that jumped out at me was, well, look at your hobbies. What is it that you know really well, better than somebody else? You know that person that could be a family member or that could be a friend. There's always that one person you know that like knows any and all things football or knows any and all things computers, video games, music, etc. So I just kind of really sat down and I just kind of went, well, what is it that I'm really good at talking about and I can connect with people in a really great, fun, and unique way? And wrestling really kind of jumped out there in my mind, but then it kind of went a step further and it was kind of like, well, you're also pretty good at music. You're also pretty good when it comes to your movies. So maybe you should kind of talk about all of those things. And thus, that's how the RCWR show was born. But the basic platform for it was off of wrestling. And from the time that I started covering wrestling, which was back in 2011, to now, I gotta tell you, for the WWE brand, I mean, they are in such purgatory / shits right now. It's not even funny. This past Monday Night Raw, I mean, look, 2 weeks ago, we heard about Raw having like the lowest numbers in like years. And then they top it off with the lowest number that they got last week that was lower than what came about 2 weeks ago. I mean, you had to go back as far as 1997 for a non-pay-per-view event episode to match it. That's how low it was. And you hear that and you're like, what the fuck is going on with the WWE product? And then if you're paying attention to your wrestling news feeds, you hear all this shit that's going on. Supposedly that Vince McMahon is running around with his damn head chopped off going, God damn it, it's time to shake things up once again. You know, and you're like, wow, well, what's going to happen? What could possibly happen? Vince McMahon is pissed? Oh, wow, wonder what's going to happen. And you go to Monday's WWE Raw and jack shit doesn't happen. Right? Be honest with yourselves. Jack shit doesn't happen. I was so tired when I got home last night. I had made myself a bite to eat, let my dog go use the bathroom, came on upstairs, got nice and comfortable on my bed, turned on a classic John Wayne movie, and I fell asleep. My girl woke me up around, I would say, probably a little after 9, and she was like, "Hun, you're missing Raw. Aren't you going to watch Raw tonight?" Because she knows my routine. She knows I always watch Monday Night Raw so that I can talk about it on Tuesday night. And I told her, I said, I'm just so tired. No, I don't want to watch it tonight. No. I was ready to just sleep all the way until the next day that it was time for me to get up and go to work. I wake up like around 10:15, 10:20. I go, well, I can't go back to sleep. Well, let me watch Raw. So I went on my DVR. I watched Raw from the beginning, and I gotta tell you, never in all my years have I done so much fast forwarding for the flagship show Raw. I fast forwarded through so much bullshit. Brock Lesnar, Big Show opening it up. Remember, I told you guys, I said Raw's gonna have the return of Brock Lesnar. They're desperate. They're trying to bring in those numbers. So they're trying to get Brock Lesnar in there. Basically, Brock Lesnar, F5's Big Show. Big Show getting a crap, poor-ass reception. You know, it's so sad. It's so sad. You know, Big Show, it's sad what's become of him. It's sad that he's now, for a man his size, for his height, it's sad that the Giant, the Big Show, is in this situation right now where he is getting booed off of the fucking show. He's being booed out of the company. People are just so tired of seeing him in the ring. It's not even funny. I really wish, like 5 years ago, I really wish that WWE would have started using the Big Show as more of, I won't say a nostalgia act, but more of a special attraction. You know, somewhat similar to a Brock Lesnar, or maybe even use him even less. You know, if I were to look at the world of comic books, do you remember how badass it was early in the years, like in the 80s going into the, I would say late 90s, early 2000s? You remember how badass it was the few times you would see the Juggernaut pop up? If you were an X-Men comic book fan, remember how the Juggernaut was whenever he would show up? You were like, oh shit, it's the Juggernaut. This is going to be one awesome ass issue because the X-Men, they're all going to have to try to unite and fight the Juggernaut. Oh, you knew anytime Juggernaut popped up, you had a really good comic book on your hands. Especially for those of you that, you know, you wanted to see all the action. You wanted to see the fighting go down and all that shit. You knew you were going to have fun whenever the Juggernaut popped up. But then as the years progress, you start seeing Juggernauts now with this team. Now he's a team member of this one, you know. You start seeing all that weird shit, and as the months progress, you know, that love and appreciation that you have for Juggernaut, you couldn't help but kind of feel a little bit different, because it's like, what was like, hey, once in a blue moon, Juggernaut would show up. Now you're getting him in this monthly comic book, guaranteed. And then eventually, you know, you had the comics that would do bi-monthly, or you get 3 a month or whatever, and it was kind of like too much Juggernaut or whatever. Same rule. For those of you that can't really feel that, I know you could definitely feel the analogy if we used Wolverine. You know, remember how Wolverine was? He was kind of like one of those coming and going type of guys. Then they attached him to the X-Men, and you know, he was still pretty freaking popular. And then eventually he got his own comic book. If I'm not mistaken, I could have sworn at one point going into the 2000s there was like 2 Wolverine comics that were coming out on top of what he was doing, and Uncanny X-Men and X-Men. I could have sworn they were really stretching him out back in the day. It was just starting to get ridiculous, and then it was kind of like, damn, they're kind of spreading him all over the place. Kind of cut back a little bit, you know? Kind of like with Superman. What was that? Superman Action Comics. Then you had Man of Steel. What was the other one you had? Wasn't there like 4 goddamn Superman monthly titles at one point? I mean, goddamn, that shit was ridiculous. Yeah, but you guys get the point that I'm making. I wish 5 years ago Big Show would have been used in the type of capacity where, you know, he would just show up once out of like, I don't know, every 6 months or some shit like that. Do his thing for a couple of weeks or whatever, or just make that one-off appearance, and then it's kind of like, you know, hey, when are we going to see this guy again? At least that way, you know, it would be exciting. You know, it would be more intriguing. You know what I'm saying? And it's just sad that he's in this position now where, like, 9 times out of 10, his career is not going to end on the note of, hey, Big Show, you've been involved in the wrestling business for, like, my God, he's been involved in the wrestling business, what's he, like 90, 94, 95, you know, over 20 fucking years. It's just sad. It's just downright sad. And then you look at guys like Kane. I know some of you guys are like, well, what about Kane? Kane, love him or hate him, that guy has been able to stay relevant with the times. Just when you think you've seen like everything that's humanly possible with Kane, with WWE Creative, they're always able to do something that breathes new life into him. Yeah, what's going on with him as corporate Kane, and he's like, I can't wait to see you in your match against the New Day's Big E Langston later tonight. You know, it's nice to see him kind of have these bipolar moments and all that. Is he going to get the WWE title at Hell in a Cell? Honestly, I don't know. I really don't know. WWE, Let me tell you something, and this could be very controversial. Some people may call this a stupid move, but honestly, if it was me, I would take the belt off of Seth Rollins. I would. I know some of you guys, you hear that, you're like, wait a minute, Lee, you would actually put the belt on Kane? Yes, I would. Because with Seth Rollins, I think WWE has gone as far as they can possibly go. He's not connecting with the fan base very well. He's doing a poor job, I personally feel. He's not bringing in the numbers. I'm quite sure if you were to look at t-shirt sales and all that, I'm quite sure he's not the top guy. I think at this point, WWE needs to do one hell of a swirl. I think Kane needs to get the belt. But at the same time, if I were setting things up, I would not only have Kane go over Seth Rollins at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, I would set up a rematch between the two. I'd let Kane retain his title, but I sure as hell would have Sheamus come out afterwards, screw Kane, become the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion, and pretty much ride off going from that point forward. That's just how I would personally do it. Now, if I really wanted to play around with it and be a dick, I would pull the trigger at Hell in a Cell. I would do it. But I wouldn't mind stretching it out for 1 month just to kind of get a really good vibe and, from the fans. If the vibe was good, it's just a touch and go situation. That's how I basically would play it. But I would definitely get the title off of Seth Rollins, and I would get it off of him ASAP. I just don't know. WWE, like I said, it's amazing how one thing blends into another and all that. But I was talking about Raw initially, and it does tie into, when I brought up Brock, Big Show, they did kick off Raw and everything. I just couldn't help but fast forward Raw. I was fast forwarding. I got caught up in less than 30 minutes, like in time to see the main event match. And this was by pressing Raw, the play button for Raw on my DVR. And I just fast forwarded through. There was probably like maybe 2 matches that were good. The whole Summer Rae Rusev segment. What the fuck, man? What the fuck? We're now being delegated to marriage proposals? I mean, my God, if you would have told me a year ago that Rusev was going to be in this type of a position, I would have said, get the fuck out of here. I don't see that. That's a cruel joke. Does somebody hate him? That would be my question. Stupid. Just stupid. Randy Orton, Dean Ambrose taking on the Wyatts, Braun Strowman. I enjoyed that match. I enjoyed seeing what the Divas were doing. What can be done, though? I mean, there's only but 2-3 highlights that you can take away from a 3-hour event. And I couldn't help but, be in agreement with a lot of the people that I was interacting with on Twitter Monday night when I put the tweet out saying, my God, I just turned on Raw on my DVR and I was able to burn through it in 30 minutes. I'm now back up to real time. How fucking sad is this show becoming? And so many people were like, it's true. NXT is the shit. That's where it really is right now. It's all about NXT. And I mean, for me, it's just so frustrating to see the flagship show and even SmackDown. I mean, SmackDown at one point was like one of the hottest, most talked about shows. It was actually a really great show at one point, better than Raw. But now it's getting to a point where it's not watchable. And I mean, the ratings are reflecting that. You see, the ratings that had came about for this Monday night, oh, well, it might have been up this week, but it was only just by a couple of points. I would still consider it to be a bad episode. 3 weeks of bad episodes. I'm sorry, but when you have 3 straight weeks of bad episodes, something drastic needs to be done. Something drastic needs to be done. There was a very interesting article that Paul Heyman had put out. Well, he didn't put it out, but there was an interview that he had did last week. I want to see if I can pull it up, because what he said I thought was very interesting. He was basically talking about the status of what's going on with WWE and the ratings, and basically, in a nutshell, he said, well, you know, what we're experiencing right now are these periods where wrestling fans are tuning in. There's certain things that they're trying to look out for, and, you know, when they don't see it, they don't come back. You know, his whole thing was, you know, fans come and fans go, but that it needs to be WWE's agenda, and that it is WWE's agenda to always continue to try to go after that new fan, you know. And, you know, it's just frustrating when you just see what's going on with the product, and you're like, well, what can be done to help it? What can be done to improve the ratings? And I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, if they get rid of the PG status and they go back to TV 14, first of all, that's not the answer, because any true wrestling fan that was checking out the product in the 80s, 70s, knows that it wasn't TV 14 back then. It was pretty much rated TV PG, and the product was doing pretty good. It's about what's happening during these shows. Just stop and marinate on this for a few ticks. 20-minute promos. They were doing good for a couple of weeks there. There was probably about maybe 2 weeks where Raw was pretty much kicking off with matches. But they keep going back to what is comfortable, what helps them kill time. What helps them kill time is doing 20-minute fucking promo segments to open up the show. I've said it time and time and time and time and time and time again. They need to stop doing that shit. Just picture you and your family going to a WWE live event. You're going to see Raw, you're going to see SmackDown, whatever. You're going to see a pay-per-view, whatever. Okay? You're in the lines, you're waiting to go get your food, you're waiting to go get your seats, you're anxious, you're filled with anxiety, you're hyped up, you're waiting for the show to begin. The show finally begins, you all are live, the people at home are watching, and things kick off with a 20-25 minute fucking promo. And then when the first match starts or whatever, I mean, the fans, the energy's kind of knocked out of them. You know, at this point, they're trying to find a way to get back into it and all that. These 20-minute fucking promos need to stop. I said it once, I'll say it again, and I'm going to continue to say it again. 10, 15 minutes before Raw comes on. 10, 15 minutes before SmackDown comes on. I don't care if it's the Authority. I don't care if it's Corporate Kane. I don't care if it's a goddamn ring announcer. Have somebody come out 10, 15 minutes before the show comes on. Tell the fans what's going to be going on so they know at home what's going to open up the show. Get their energy into it. Get them pumped up. All that good shit. Then, when it's time for the show to actually come on, you can just pretty much go right to your fucking matches or whatever. Alright? If you're gonna do a fucking promo, I think the golden rule needs to be 5 to 10 minutes max. Gone. Long gone. Needs to be these 20-minute fucking promos. I think we all can be in agreement on that. I said it last week. I'll say it again. The West Side Story that's going on with the Divas. Team Bad. PCB. What's the other goddamn team? The Bellas. And that West Side Story bullshit. Fuck all that. We need to just break all that shit up already. There ain't no more Divas Revolution. It's basically starting to become a fucking yawn now. Alright? And that's just not fair to a majority of the women that are now on the main roster. That's not fair to Paige, who, when she started off in NXT all the way up to where she is right now, she basically was the anti-diva. If anybody remembers, she was the anti-diva. She was any and everything opposite of a WWE diva. And now in storyline wise, it's safe to say that she's becoming the thing that she despises the most. You know, I said it once, I'll say it again. Let Paige go back to her NXT roots. All right. But what's going on with the Divas division right now is such a disservice to Paige, Charlotte, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks. You know, we need to see all these girls take their rightful place on that main roster, on main WWE program. And we got to see things go back to basics. And that definitely involves this West Side Story bullshit coming to an end. I want to see, I don't know about you guys, but I want to see new, fresh matchups. All right? I want to see Charlotte, Natalya. Now, granted, we've seen that before, but, you know, you kind of get the point that I'm making. You know, we got to switch it up. All these girls that we have on the roster, and we're limited to this bullshit. We've got these NXT girls that's hustling like a motherfucker. They're doing Raw. They're doing SmackDown. They're doing NXT. I don't see the Bellas going on NXT. Quote my favorite wrestler, what's up with that? You know, I mean, seriously. Another thing that they got to do, this is a recommendation, I think, and I think some of you guys have like a really great idea with regards to this, but I want to expand on it a bit further. I think when it comes to the 9 o'clock hour, for Raw in particular, maybe they can even do this for SmackDown as well. But basically, when it comes to their 9 p.m. Eastern hour, pull a WCW move. You remember how second hour, it was basically nothing but the cruiserweights? Well, that second hour, they need to kick things off with NXT. I think in that first hour, on that 9 o'clock p.m. hour, you give the fans 2 really solid NXT matchups. Not to mention that gives you the opportunity to promote that week's NXT event. And then something that would be really cool is like at the conclusion of the 2 NXT matches that you get back to back on Raw and on SmackDown, you can hype up what's going to be kicking off the second hour for Raw or SmackDown NXT wise. Again, after the 2 matches conclude for those respected shows. That way you keep like a nice trend going that will keep that wrestling fan coming back. You feel what I'm saying? But not to mention, it's a great way to put the spotlight on NXT. One of the best things that's going on for the WWE right now. We can all be in agreement, pushing the stars. That's getting the biggest reactions from the fans, because when it's all said and done, the fans are the ultimate consumers, right? These guys need to be provided more of an opportunity to shine on the roster. They need that support. I'm talking about guys like Cesaro. I'm talking about guys like Dolph Ziggler, who just continuously operates as a utility worker, if you will. I need to see him finally be given the opportunities to succeed or fail. At least give him the opportunity. If he fails, at least WWE higher-ups can say, well, we gave him the opportunity. Sasha Banks. Now, I'm hearing rumblings that maybe Sasha Banks might be doing something at Hell in a Cell. I'm hearing that maybe the next Divas match that's going to be popping up could possibly be a triple threat. I don't know. Daniel Bryan, like, he got cleared by one doctor, then another doctor didn't clear him, and like now WWE is encouraging him to go see a third doctor. And basically he's saying this doctor is pretty much going to have his wrestling future in the WWE and he or she's palm of their hands. And interesting interview that he put out last week, basically saying if he doesn't get the green light to wrestle in the WWE, he would be interested in wrestling on the independents again. And it's kind of like, Daniel Bryan, with all due respect, sir, with all due respect, you're one of my favorite wrestlers, man. I've seen the tail end of your career in ROH and everything, but my God, man, WWE, they've made you a household name. They have done any and everything to bend over backwards for you, man. You know, it's like when you wanted to get married, they had your back. When things had went down with your father passing, they had your back. when you needed to go do what you needed to do with your rehabbing the first go round, WWE had your back. When you had the opportunity to become a tough enough judge, WWE gave you that opportunity. They wanted to try to keep you around in the limelight. Not to mention they gave you the opportunity and the creative freedom to go about promoting your book and all that. I mean, they've been so, like, awesome with you, man. For you to even put that out there, even if you don't mean it, even if you're just using it as a tactic to try to get the WWE to bring you back into the fold in some type of wrestling capacity, you're basically trying to play a game of maybe chicken with them, I still would not have gone there because... And I know Daniel Bryan isn't this way. Just from everything that I've heard about him over the years, from the people that have had the opportunity to work with him and everything, he is just an all-around true professional. He's one of the nicest people that's out there. I know in his heart he means well. I do. But, like, even if he didn't mean it, he should not have said it, because just the negative limelight that it puts him in now, it makes him look kind of jaded. It makes him look like he's unappreciative of any and everything that's come about for him in the WWE. You know, his life has definitely gotten better as a result of hooking up with the WWE. It's not all as bad as it seems to be, you know. So just the fact that he's saying this shit, would I love to see him get cleared and return? Yes, who wouldn't want to see him go back? I definitely, now more than ever, we could use a Daniel Bryan. Let me tell you something, if Daniel Bryan was cleared already, he would definitely be my guy that I would put the WWE title around right about now. If I could have brought him back 3-4 months earlier, he definitely would be my champion right about now if he continued to stay healthy. Daniel Bryan even said it in his own fucking book, how long he's been dealing with concussions. I mean, it's just part of the nature of the business. I don't know what's going on with that shit, but definitely guys like Daniel Bryan, Bray Wyatt, Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is on the right path. The guy keeps getting better and better every single week. I have been saying this over and over and over again. The quality of his work the past several months, ever since WrestleMania, I mean, it's just been getting better and better and better. I'm eyeballing him and Bray Wyatt. They got bright futures ahead of them if they keep going the way that they're going. You know, something else that I would like to see WWE do, I would like to see them bring back performance enhancers. No, I'm not talking about the drugs, all right? I'm talking about managers. I would love to see managers, aka valets, make a significant comeback. Can we see guys like James Mitchell, Zeb Coulter, Timmy Danger, maybe Titus Machiavelli, Veda Scott? Give me more Paul Heyman. You know, can we see these guys make a little bit of a comeback? J.J. Dillon, you know, can we see these guys make a little bit of a comeback and helping these up-and-coming stars? Just the wealth of knowledge that some of these people that I just mentioned have, that they could pass on to these younger guys. Long haul would make them be all around and overall a better performer, no doubt. I mean, those are just some of the things that, you know, I need to see happen in order for these flagship shows to get turned around, man. But only time will tell if those moves are going to happen. But something needs to be done sooner rather than later. That's the honest truth.